I don't know what I'm clicking on.
Yeah. I need to look.
It's proud that, or make sure both those doors, we leave both those doors closed.
Yeah.
Fuck. Fuck. They're open. They're drawing on it. I don't know.
It is recording you because the sound.
What should the input be? I got to that.
Just flip it until you see this. The Board of Architectural Review small screen. I think it'll be like computer or something. Have any testing comments?
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Travis, don't curse.
Well, I've done that today.
You're cursing. I don't know why you're doing this. Here. Oh, no.
We're in the wrong way, you're in the wrong.
I'm in the wrong one, but I don't know how to go back.
Go live.
Do we need
No,
that?
how
All right, everyone, we'll get started. Welcome to the May 14th, 2026 VAR small meeting. My name is Lindsay Van Slambrook. I'll be the chairwoman tonight. Other board members present with me are Daryl Cobb, Laura Altman, Becky Finno, and Bill Turner. City staff present are Frankie Pinto, BARS Administrator, and Travis Golly, Senior Preservation Planner. The order of tonight's meeting is as follows. For each application, we'll hear an introduction overview for the benefit of the board and the public. This will be followed by the applicant's presentation. The applicant will have a 10-minute period of time to present the project. And anyone speaking with the applicant, so this would be owners, designers, architects, consultants, should speak during the applicant presentation versus during public comment. And if you are speaking, please approach the podium, state your name first and last for the record. By ordinance, the board can ask questions of the applicant at any time. By custom, we do so on the heels of the applicant's presentation. This will be followed by public comment. Any written public comment that was timely submitted has been provided to the board for review in advance of the meeting. If you are speaking as a member of the public on a particular application, please raise your hand. I'll recognize you. Approach the podium, state your name first and last for the record, and your address if you're a neighbor nearby. Public comment will be followed by city staff comments and recommendations. Once you've heard from city staff and the public, the applicant will have 5 minutes to clarify or respond to anything raised in the public comment or in the city staff comments and recommendations. Once we have heard from the applicant, public comment in the applicant's presentation will be closed and we'll move into board discussion and a vote on each application. Results will be posted online from the city's website. Agenda item B13, 175 King Street has been withdrawn. Please turn off your cell phones and please remember that the purview of this board is architecture only. So anything related to livability, zoning, stormwater is not the purview of the board and should not be voiced. All right, we'll get started. Agenda item A1, review of the minutes from both the April 9th and April 23rd, 2026 meetings. I make a motion to approve as to both with the edits I circulated to the board in the meeting. Do I have a second to my motion?
I second.
Thank you, Becky. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, the motion passes unanimously. Agenda item B1 is 15 Longitude Lane. Frankie, if you'll give us introduction overview of the project, please.
Yes, ma'am. 15 Long Lane is in Charleston, Council District 8. It's not surveyed circa 1950 in the old historic district. They're requesting approval for a partial demolition, which includes garage, hyphen, and boiler room. This is the property's location on Longitude. I will turn it over to the applicant.
Okay, hi, my name is Nicole Lee. I'm presenting for Bow Carney Architects, the architectural designer for this project. And then it's been a little while since I came here. Do I just press the green button to go forward?
Go ahead, Travis.
Okay.
And if you've got any trouble, let us know.
And just to clarify, for this presentation, you'll just be presenting the demo.
Yes, that's correct. So we are proposing the demolition of a garage, an unorganized link to a 1950s neocolonial house. The garage and the kind of link were kind of coupled together over time, and there's a bunch of smaller renovations that have happened as well. The survey. This is the location, 15 Longitude Lane. Longitude Lane used to connect vehicular traffic between East Bay and Church, is now kind of a dead end. And interestingly, this is kind of a unique property. The 15, 17, and 21 Longitude Lane were built around the 50s. They are brick houses that all have their architectural fronts face the side of the property. So 15 and 17 East Bay, their architectural front facade faces East Bay, or excuse me, Longitude face East Bay, and then 21 Longitude faces Church Street. And then across the street are largely the rear gardens and garages and accessory structures for houses on Trout Street. We have the Sanborn maps here. I'm not sure how well everyone's able to see. This property used to be part of the commercial cotton press and wharf company in 1800, and then it transferred to the East Shore Terminal Company. And then in the 50s, it was divided up into properties. We think around 1950, those three houses were built 15, 17, and 21 longitude. And you can see, can we zoom in or?
No, we're not.
Okay. So again, those properties are kind of facing the not longitude lane. Their architectural sides are facing longitude lane, and the architectural fronts are facing the side of the property. We do have architectural blueprints for this house dated from 1949. On the top here, you can see the north elevation as it was to face longitude lane. The garage is actually dotted in and labeled as a future garage. And as you can see in the east elevation below, it was meant to have a gable that was parallel to the main house. There was also a boiler room and a screen porch. You can see those on the north, and the boiler room was only accessible from the screen porch. And then we also have a site plan kind of showing this future garage and this little boiler room and screen porch. Again, here's the south elevation from these blueprints, and then the west elevation. It should be noted that there's kind of on the west elevation, there are in the blueprint 6 even windows across the back facade. As we'll show you in the photos, this house has been altered over time, and so the 2 center windows have been altered, and there's been a dormer added to the rear, the west roof to allow attic access. Again, plans, top is the second floor, just re-emphasizing the way that the garage was supposed to look. And first floor on the bottom, again, shows that boiler room and that kind of connector to the future garage that was a screen porch. These are photos that we have from 2004. The house largely looks the same. And then again, we have photos starting at the top left with the garage as viewed from the lane. And then we can see in the center there, we have the kind of boiler room to the left, and then that small door is the connector that was eventually filled in. And then we have more photos of the garage. The excuse me, on the bottom row, you can see the inside of that connector. So still some remnants of the exterior materials with those brick steps. And then the 2 on the bottom right are of the inside of the boiler room as it exists. Moving around the house, this is on the east or the architectural front of the house. We've got the front door and stoop. And then as we go, we have the south side and then the west side. The west side is largely mostly viewed from the neighbor at 17 Longitude Lane. You can see it's in the bottom left-hand corner. You can see that there's now a window with a rounded top. There's a dormer, and then the center window on the first floor has been lowered down. We believe this happened around the time, probably all around the same time when they added a true stair to access the attic floor. And again, we have photos from the public way. Oh, I did want to note quickly that the garden will be cleaned up and landscaped, and that the west elevation is largely not visible from the public way. This is the existing site plan. As I said before, the orientation of the existing house faces so to the side property, and it is quite close to the west property line. And then the north side is kind of a natural place where we want to do additions or alterations to the house. And any alterations or additions on that north side would have to alter or remove the garage. So we are proposing to remove the garage in that portion of the house. First floor demolition plan, again, looking at removing the garage area. And then on the west, we're proposing to remove portions of the wall back there to expand service stations. I know we're not supposed to talk about the proposed, the idea being that the service function of the house is on this side. And so any future addition to the service function would naturally fall over there. This is the second floor, again, largely removing the garage and attached pieces. And then we are proposing a small removal of this upper window with the circular top that we believe has already been touched. And then on the top, we are proposing removal of knee wall to add 3 dormers in the, or sorry, to make space for potential dormers in the front, and then potential dormers in the rear of the roof. Again, trying to add space to the attic potentially, while staying within the footprint. And the roof plan. These are the elevations on the top. You have the the longitude lane, the north side, so showing that garage that we're removing. On the bottom is the east side of the house, kind of the architectural front, showing the outlines of potential dormers, and again, removing that kind of garage fill-in boiler room link. And we are also proposing to replace the front door and front stoop. And so we're asking for those to be removed. On the south side, on the first floor, we will be removing the windows with the idea of expanding the opening to fit doors. Upstairs, kind of the same idea. And then on the west side, this is again, kind of a hard side to see from anywhere except for the neighbors, but we are proposing to touch the areas on that main house that had been already altered, and then alter the kind of siding addition and then remove the garage. And that's it.
Any questions for the applicant?
I have one. So do you want to demo the fence and the gate too? Did I see that? I didn't see it in the
Yes.
plan, but I saw it in elevation.
Yeah, and the clients have retained and the services of a landscape architect. This is just kind of our first shot at removing these gates.
And any idea how old the fence and gate are?
Our assumption would be kind of similar to the house.
So 50s probably?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
but again, it's not shown on the proposed from 1949.
Right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Do we have anyone speaking from the public?
Laurel Fay with the Preservation Society of Charleston. The PSC appreciates the applicant reaching out to us and for the opportunity to visit the site this morning. We acknowledge that this property is set within an unusual context with a non-traditional site plan and orientation, which makes finding close precedent examples challenging. Nevertheless, 15 Longitude Lane is a good example of mid-century colonial revival style architecture that speaks to the developmental history of the streetscape. The priority for this project should be to retain the historic form and character-defining features. As proposed, the scope of this demolition request is significant, and the PSC is concerned that the cumulative impact of this demolition would fundamentally alter the form and character of this historic property. The 1949 architectural blueprints, which the PSC was excited to see included, clearly show the colonial revival door surround and double stair as original features, and these should be retained. The existing iron gate also seems to be in repairable condition. While we believe there's room for flexibility with the front-facing garage, we ask that the board carefully weigh the cumulative impacts of the proposed demolition, including at the roof. Thank you.
Anyone else speaking? Okay, Brian, can you give us these staff comments and recommendations, please?
Yes, ma'am. Steps of observations, garage appears to be original or similar age to the structure, and is appropriately sized for the existing structure. Garages also tell the vehicular history of the city. Staff recommendations, denial of demolition.
Frank, is that full scale or was that just with respect to the garage? Was that these recommendations
Is denied.
of everything? Okay. Ms. Lee, did you want to clarify or respond to anything raised in the public comment or the staff comments and recommendations?
Just quickly regarding the front gate. Again, that's something that's in development. Our idea was to remove it to accommodate a future revised site plan, but we are happy to look at incorporating existing historical elements back into what we have.
Thank you. All right, public comment and the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote. Should we start with the garage or?
Yeah, I think maybe start the garage
Yeah.
in the street and maybe work our way back.
Yeah.
I don't, I think the most important part of this structure is the core element. It's got a very strong, form to it, and I think that form needs to be respected. So I think actually, to me, the garage is not a high quality piece of architecture. And I don't think it really, I think it actually, in my opinion, sort of detracts from the main body of that. So I really wouldn't have any issue of the garage coming off or the connection or the boiler room. But I do have strong feelings about the core portion of the house. And I would like to see the door surround and transit. I think they're very nice.
I'm in agreement, but I think the main part of the house is, really, I mean, I could see if that was being retained, then, doing an appropriate addition, you know, being able to demolish the garage and that intermediate piece, and doing, an addition that kind of follows the concepts.
Yeah.
That have been set. But I think so much modification to the main part really, it's like, you know, it's like, why did you buy this house? I mean, it's really, you know, it's really, you know, to maintain that main piece. I mean, I think it's just the more important part to me as well. There's just too many changes going on to that part
I
in the
agree.
application.
How about the like dormers on the front and the rear?
Were we just talking about demolition or?
Yes.
There's
Just
only
demolition.
demolition, so,
Hole
well,
in the roof.
well, I think here we can be a little,
Yeah.
because we do get to see what goes after. So
Okay.
we know there'll be dormers. And I agree with everything so far that Becky have said about the garage and maintaining, being more respectful of that core home. But what about the roof? The roof holes?
I was actually trying to go back to the aerial, you know, typically. I was thinking typically you might have seen the three small ones in this form, but I can't, you know. I have to look at that, not the really enormous opening on the west side, I think is more problematic to me. Not as appropriate, again, not as appropriate to that, the form of that community.
Yeah, I think that the three dormers on the main facade are sort of appropriate to the style of the house, to the colonial revival. I do think the combination, what we know that's going to go back is a combination gable shed dormer on the other side. I think that's a little excessive. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be something allowed. What's proposed is forward.
Anything to add so far before we do the window openings? I think to have an idea so far. So there was a consensus. We're okay on the garage.
and the hyphen.
And the hyphen, and the three dormers, the three holes for the dormers. And then what about okay, there's no window openings on the east elevation. How about that south rear elevation? So there's the first story, first floor, there's removal of those windows.
And a chunk of the house too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a large chunk of the rear elevation.
Right.
Thoughts?
It's not highly visible, right?
No, but we technically have we technically have purview all the way around because there's a variance.
Yes, and I apologize. I put it in the next item, but because of the variance, you have purview regardless of visibility from the public right away.
But even though we have purview, Daryl, I do kind of agree sometimes. Well,
Right.
Less concerning if it's less visible.
Yeah.
From my perspective.
I agree. So I really don't have an issue with rear elevation. Becky, Bill. And then what about, this is, I really think this is the back of the house, but it's the east elevation. So those two middle windows, and I'm not talking about the roof, just the portion, first and second story.
Oh, on the west.
Yeah.
Where it
The
was.
east elevation.
Yeah.
I think it's one west. Am I-
East, where
is it
they're
just like-
removing the entry.
On the west. Okay, I'm looking at the.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. West elevation. So. The two middle windows those were modified, right? Yes. Okay. Do you know when they were modified?
The whole section of wall. there.
Oh, I guess that's right, it is like it's. Yeah. Good. That is my question to you. Please.
My answer is, we believe it's when they added the dormer up top. The original plans had no full stair going from the second floor to the third attic floor. But one exists now, so it must have been an attic access when they added that stair, and I'm thinking that's when they dropped those windows down. And added like a traditional stair, up to the attic space.
Year that was.
Yeah, I mean, based on the construction of the gable, which is not high quality in my opinion, it was probably in the 80s, 70s or 80s.
But you're right, Becky, yeah, it is a L-shaped portion of the wall.
I have more issue with this portion of the wall because in doing so, knowing what's going back, it does alter the form, that strong form of core of the house. I have an issue with the window. Yeah.
Okay. Next, I think we have is that the board is generally okay with the demolition shown for the garage. The three dormers on the east roof elevation. Sorry, on the roof of the east elevation, everything proposed on the south elevation, which is the rear of the house, and then the windows on the west elevation. And then everything else is denied or studied.
Denying the shed roof, the big roof opening on the west and the entry stoop door surrounding all of that. And the L-shaped portion of the wall.
Yeah.
At the west elevation. Okay.
Did you make a motion? Would you like me to read what I think?
Yes, that would be great. Thank you, Lindsay, for wording it for me.
Okay,
I can, yeah,
go ahead.
okay. Because I can just list out the things that we're denying in terms of demolition and that the rest is approved.
Oh, you could do it that way
Correct?
too. Yeah.
Because that would be shorter.
Yes.
Denial of demolition of the entry, stoop, stairs, and door surround.
So what about the gate?
Right, we'll get to the gate.
Okay. The,
And then denial of the wall portion and roof portions on the west elevation.
okay.
And that leaves, and then everything else is
Approval.
approved as shown.
How about the fence and the gate?
So, yeah,
I have an issue with the fence, but I do think the gate should be, it's interesting. I was noticing it out there this morning.
So
If it
please
can retain and reused.
please retain the gate for future use.
And the masonry fence, you're good with that?
Yeah, give them some flexibility to. Maybe it'll get kept, maybe.
Is that like a board condition to retain the gate? Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for denial of demolition of the entry stoop, stair and door surround. Denial of demolition of the wall and roof portions on the west elevation. Approval of demolition of the remainder of the application, and a board condition to retain the gate for future use. Do I have a second to Laura's motion?
Second.
Daryl, put the motion to a vote. Becky,
Yeah, in favor.
Bill,
Yeah, in favor.
Laura,
Yay in favor.
Daryl,
Yeah, in favor.
chair votes the majority and the motion passed unanimously.
And I'll just add, I love the way the red is on here. That is very easy to understand.
Thank you.
Demo versus what's staying. That really helps. Good job.
Okay, agenda item, sorry. Who was our second? Daryl.
Daryl.
Agenda item 2 is 52 Lane. Frankie, if we give it to the introduction, overview of the project, please.
Council District 8. Now requesting a conceptual approval for a new two-story garage hyphen and additional exterior. Property again on Longitude Lane, and I will turn it over to the applicant.
So, Kate Campbell, Folk County Architects. Start with, Nicole kind of gave a background of the project. We did go to BZA in March of this year, and were approved for encroachments on the west side. Apologies, the sheet that says east side should say west side in the packet, so, sorry about that confusion. Along with special exception requests to extend vertically on top of the existing encroaching wood framed portion that you saw in that photograph on the west side. The clients approached us with the goal of retaining the house. They agree that the core of the house is really the pure piece of this project, and also keeping a garage. And so they do want to add to the house. This is a unique lot. It faces east. And so we're proposing a garage addition and hyphen to the north and west sides of the existing house, as well as a two-story piazza to the south in the garden side of the house. Again, the goal with this project is to keep all the service functions of the house on the same side of the house as they currently are. It was discussed that a lot of the properties along Longitude Lane, it is a lane, very small, as we all saw today. But most of the accessory structures that are garages are detached and kind of adjacent to the rear yard of the houses that front Trav Street.
Before, I think.
Anyway, okay, yeah, barely visible in blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kind of garage functions. So we wanted to keep that same service function while adding square footage to the house. With BZA, we are currently under our lot coverage, so we did not want to ask for zoning variance for additional lot coverage. And so what you're seeing here is 35%. And so we are adding vertically because we don't have the ability to add horizontally to the house. We also have some large trees to the east side, and so that precludes any additions. Plus, that's the architectural front. And then the south side, is more of a garden structure. So the challenge with this project, the owner again wanted to retain garage and off-street parking. And so we are. Sorry. The ability to parallel park along longitude will be retained. And then we're allowing for 2 cars to be able to park in the garage. And so that is that 1-story piece that comes further towards to the lane than the existing garage is all 1-story and really accomplishes the ability to park a full car while allowing a parallel parking space for navigation with that tight lane. One of the other elements that our client wanted to incorporate was an elevator. This house currently does not have one, and they do want to keep in mind aging in place. And so the garage, as I get into the plans, I'll show you where that is, but it basically occurs at the height between the garage and the existing house. So here's a floor plan, demolition floor plan. Garage is on the right side, that's the longitude lane side. And then we have a few steps up into the existing house and are incorporating an elevator to go from garage level to the first floor and then on up to the second floor. And so that's all occurring in the hyphen between the garage building and the existing house. The additions that, I don't know quite how to talk about this with the demolition portion, but the additions that we were doing to the west side, we're accommodating, again, the accessibility for that elevator into the bump out that you see to the left of the elevator, along with kitchen function and service function on the west side. This was all detailed to be a very light touch, and we really would only remove what we needed to in order for that function to occur. So we need a little clarification on that in the design. And then you can see on the south side, on the left side, plan left is the piazza open on the first floor, retaining the existing chimney, using the existing windows as openings for those new French doors. And then the second floor, bedrooms on the right, the hyphen with the elevator coming up into the laundry room. That's the special exception request that we were granted. And then the addition to the left houses the master bathroom. The detailing of the master bathroom is going to be very similar to the house in the corner of Meeting and Trad, and really be a porch that has a whole layer of glass doors behind it. So it could be removed and become an open porch. The client is wanting to parge coat the existing house, and the image on the top right is an addition to a house downtown. And so that's the texture that they would like to do on the main house while keeping the addition garage building stucco. This is the plan of the third floor. You can see that stair that I was talking about earlier coming up, which is the whole reason for that existing dormer. So we were working within that gable. If the board is open to us restudying that western elevation, I could also see it happening with 3 dormers and space maybe merging in between to allow for just some extra head height up there. So that is certainly something we could explore. I agree the gable's a little awkward. So if given the choice, I would love to be able to look at that again in our next round. So this is a challenging project because again, the architectural facade is east facing and not fronting the lane. And so we're balancing between honoring that architectural garden elevation with the main body of the house, hyphen, and a subordinate building with the fact that the front of the house is along. And we have a garage function, so we're just trying to balance a lot in terms of this feeling like an outbuilding like the other properties have along the lane. There are other 2-story outbuildings that sort of have garages, so that was kind of what we were looking for, but also being a hyphenated addition to the main house. And again, incorporating that elevator in the hyphen. That's, and then that's the south elevation, with the two-story piazza. Again, totally open to restudying that western roof, if the board would allow. And then, one thing that, just to comment, which everybody saw today, that's a 12-foot wall on the south side, and it's also a 12-foot wall on the west side. So as viewed from Mr. Parker's property on the west, that's the elevation that would be visible from his property only. Street state. To answer any questions.
Yeah, just one, in parts coding the existing house, have you thought about how that might affect your reveals, like trim, window trims?
We have, one option is also to lime wash the brick. We're kind of in discussions with them on that, but certainly, there aren't any. It's all masonry openings, and there aren't any true headers going across. It's a running bond over most of the windows. The only area that has a header condition, I think, is that later added archtop window. So I don't know if you'd lose the header, like in another type of project, you may be concerned about losing that definition of like windows, but.
When you return the stucco and to the windows.
Oh, yeah, on the trim.
Yeah, we lose much of that exposure.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we would have to study for sure, but they just like the idea of coating that with a hard coat, or we had talked about like a lime wash is more of a paint finish, so, but they liked delineating it from the stucco kind of outbuilding, the garage building. Happy to explore that.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. So we have anyone speaking in public?
Utilities for Charleston Foundation. HCF is generally supportive of proposed architectural direction. That said, HCF remains concerned about the overall scale and method of the additions, which together constitute a substantial expansion of the building. HCF encourages further study of the west elevation dormer to reduce its visual prominence, as well as consideration of reducing the overall footprint and massing of the additions. So they remain clearly subordinate to the historic building. Yeah.
Laurel Fay with the Preservation Society of Charleston. While this is an attractive design, the proposed addition on the north elevation is very large and almost completely obscures this historic property from view along Longitude Lane. As designed, it reads as a newly constructed primary building, fundamentally altering this historic building's relationship to its context and setting. The proposed additions, coupled with the new and enlarged dormers of the roof, would virtually double the square footage of this property and are not subordinate to the historic footprint. While we recognize that the traditional rules of subordination will be applied differently to this property, given its orientation and existing street-facing garage, the primary historic mass should still be read as such. We recommend restudy to create clear sightlines to the historic structure from Longitude Lane and to reduce the overall intensity of these proposed additions. The PSC is confident there is a way to implement the desired program without fundamentally altering the historic character of this property and the ability to experience it from the public right of way. Thank you.
Is there anyone else speaking? Okay, Frank, you have to give us any staff comments and recommendations, please.
The staff is not in support of demolition that would allow the design. Since this property received the variance, the BAR can review the entire proposal regardless of visibility from public rights of way. Proposed is not subordinate in height, scale, and mass, and the new eave creates a datum line instead of stepping down in a subordinate manner. Windows should be differentiated from the historic structure. The proposed is encapsulating existing with an addition. The east elevation is too cluttered. A new street facing facade is significantly wider than the historic structure. The new shed dormer is much too large and extends to the roof ridge. And I'll add about the parch coating that staff would be opposed since the Secretary of Interior standards recommends against painting masonry, which is traditionally unpainted. Staff condition for approval would be restudy for height, scale, mass, general architectural direction that we are recommending.
Thank you, Frankie. Did you want to respond to a question today? Oh, staff comment.
Thank you, and thank you to the preservation groups for meeting with us on this project. In terms of the visibility of the front facade, I think it goes back to the challenging nature of this particular project. If this was a house that faced the street, we would have a totally different conversation. It's a house that faces the garden. I think when there today, I even saw it, most of the vehicular traffic is coming from east to west and is looking at the facade of the house viewed on the oblique. So if you look at this streetscape, you'll never see this in true elevation. You're always actually going to be experiencing the property where you do view the main facade of the house, kind of on that angle, which will always be open because we've got large trees that can't come down and create open space. And so I would argue that the natural place to add to this house would be to the north side with a hyphenated, as if this was the front elevation. It's just turned 90 degrees and facing east. And therefore this structure is facing the lane versus the front of the house facing the lane. As I said before, the expansion of the building, we would love to go one story. However, we would have to have some sort of lot coverage variance, and due to the restrictions of the placement of the house, it's very difficult to add horizontally and leave as one story addition. And the expansion of the house, I feel, is not overly large. It's really the hyphen and the garage with 2 rooms above. And so right now it's really a 2-bedroom house, and it would become a 4-bedroom house. So it's not an overly large house with not overly large bedrooms. Certainly can it study the eave heights, and that was something with the staff comments that I tend to agree with. Lowering that eave line and even changing the pitch of the garage building, I think will go a long way to further subordinate that, and may hopefully resolve some of the comments from the preservation groups as well. It is a balance. We're adding an elevator, and so that has certain height clearances too that we're trying to accommodate, but we can certainly study that on the next round for sure. Thank you.
All right, public comment. The presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote. I think we can only really comment on the north and south elevations and then the dormers on the east elevation because of what we denied. Correct. Yeah. So just with that.
So it's sort of a given that the west elevation roof line could be restudied because we denied the demolition.
I think so, yeah.
Makes sense.
So they could come back.
Yeah.
Curious how that works.
They come back in the demo, a revised.
A revised demo, revise all of that. Yeah, okay. So one of my concerns, I agree, and I appreciate what you were saying about lowering the eave height and the roof pitch. I think that could help. I think, to me, one of the parts that makes this feel so massive, especially feeling like standing on the street today and thinking about it, is that bay that comes out over the 1-story addition of the garage where there's a bathroom. It makes it more cluttered, I think, in terms of just all of the different openings on that north elevation. But it also really is 2 stories in a way over half or, a third of that 1-story space. And just the idea of standing there and feeling that 2-story right there, that close, I think just feels too heavy. So maybe if that one bay, that one bathroom was gone, that could make a big difference potentially. the height scale mass aspect of it, in my opinion. That one part just feels too big.
And the way we typically would approach this kind of project is we would have expected to see the main house, all corners respected.
Right.
And then it's almost like in reverse, going back from the street. In this regard, you're actually coming, but you would have expected it to step in. And then whatever was on the street actually might either be narrower than the main house. I mean, there's kind of this diagram that we typically see of the hyphen in a little, and then the main part of an addition, still respecting the main mass. You know, in this case, you know, definitely I would think that the hyphen would be respecting the corners. And then I think there's some latitude on the west, but the east would have pulled back so that you have a sight line to the main entry. So I think just.
Are you saying so that like in plan that part of the garage, east elevation? Yeah.
The roof plan would help.
Actually, this floor plan actually would be great, honestly. Yeah, so I mean, I think you're thinking on the first floor, well, I'm sorry, Travis, could you go back one more? Yeah, so I think I would have expected to see this corner and you know, this side of the hyphen is what we might have expected to see on both sides.
Something on the other side.
And then this would have, you know, typically we ask that that's back from this corner.
Okay, I agree.
You know, I could see maybe you have a little more latitude on this side to not pinch all the way in. But some, you know, respect for this piece, and, you know, it's that piece, the hyphen, and then the addition is typically what we, I feel like is our typical kind of diagram that we ask for. Where you may, you know, the addition you might see the original building frame back behind it. Now, I do understand there is more of a 3/4 view looking toward the entry this way. But you would think this would be stepped back to allow, definitely to allow more emphasis on that. And maybe we have more flexibility. That was just thoughts based on our concepts that we typically look for.
Yeah, I agree with both of you, what you said. I think this end of the project is very successful. And I just think that like you said, the corners of the original building form need to be respected. And I think the addition on the street side could be as wide as the main house, just because this is sort of a unique situation. Maybe the garage is pretty generous in width. Maybe that could be scaled, tightened up some, but yeah, I agree with both of them. And also your drawings are very well organized and easy to understand.
Yeah. I think also then the hyphen might give you an opportunity to think again, that distinguishing from the main. You know, the historic piece and saying, okay, that's that. And then allowing the hyphen to kind of create more of a transition to the new piece.
And I'd like to add in, I would not be opposed to if you revisited the demo with 3 single dormers on the opposite side of the house.
From that west elevation.
Yeah, if that helped with the usability of the space. The reason why I say that is that those would be typical of a colonial revival house.
And then I would agree with staff on the language of the addition being distinguished from the language of the main house.
And as far as the parging of brick, how do you all feel about that?
That's typically policy not to.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't be opposed to, like you said, possibly a lime wash, you know, just to sort of give a little bit of unity color palette wise. But I think you might end up running into some trouble with your reveals, you know, with your stucco layer stuff. And it does alter the original house. So.
I'm wondering what's more helpful to the applicant. Is this a denial so they could submit potentially another demo application and a new clarification here or is a deferral? I don't think it's an approval today based on what we talked about, but what do you all think? I'm almost thinking a denial, and that way they can resubmit, but
We submit with referral. I don't know if one gets you anything more. I don't think it's just terminology, you know.
Earl just feels less diluted.
you're right.
That's me.
Let's mean.
A deferral was more discussion.
Deferral for restudy.
For restudy.
And staff comments.
Someone make that motion. Bill, okay. All right, we have a motion on the floor, deferral or restudy with, board and staff comments. Do I have a second to Bill's motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Laura. Put the motion to a vote. Daryl?
Yeah, in favor.
Laura?
Yay in favor.
Bill?
Yeah.
Becky?
Yeah, in favor.
The chair votes majority and a motion is unanimous. Thank you. Thanks, Becky. Okay, agenda item 3 is One Maiden Lane. Frank, you have to give us an introduction, overview of the project, please.
Okay, we need to know state if it's in survey that in 9 Eagle Historic District, they're requesting conceptual for a shed addition. In property dedication. Turn it over to you.
Hello, everybody. What we're doing here, we kind of jumped the gun a little bit, but this is not historical property. It was built in 1979. And the existing structure was dilapidated, falling apart. And what we have come up with is there's no storage on the site for maintenance or any kind of stuff like that, because it did have stuff stored in there, but it was not completely closed off. So what we proposed was to match the existing stucco and match the roof and all the colors and just leave it as a shed.
And you said that was built when? You're talking about the shed?
The property was built in 1979.
The property, okay, the hotel.
The shed, I don't know, it's been.
Got it.
It was sometime along the way, but dilapidated and falling apart.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thank
Do
you.
you have anyone speaking?
Heat Utilities for Charleston Foundation, based on limited information included in the submittal package and without a site plan indicating proposed location of the shed, we cannot.
Thank you. Does anyone else speak? Okay, Frank, you could give us these staff comments and recommendations, please.
Staff just had observations that it is an after the fact request, and we think that the structure is highly visible and not appropriately designed for the existing structure. So we were recommending deny.
Thank you. Did you want to respond to or clarify anything raised in the public comment or the staff comments?
I'm Mike Hogan. I'm the trustee for the Limehouse Trust that owns the hotel here. And so we were just trying to make an improvement to have some storage. I can understand that we need to change the facade. So what I think we probably need to do is to come back and do a redesign, resubmit, and see if we can have an approval for that. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because today's the first day I kind of looked at it, and I think we just got a little ahead of ourselves. And so I think we'll come back with something that looks a lot better.
Thank you, Mr. Hogan. All right, public comment and the applicant's presentation is not closed. Move into board discussion and vote. I think Mr. Hogan made our motion.
It's not just the design of it, but also some of the materials.
Please cut their phones off. Thank you. Sorry.
Not just the design, but the materials. I mean, they're perforated sockets. being used, standard, off-shelf door with brick mold. The roof, if it's gonna be a metal roof, it should be a standing seam, not what's on there now. And the final windows, so it's not just the design, but the materials need to be upped on it.
It also needs a full correct submittal package.
Right, these,
Plans, because so that we have
Yeah.
the information we need to make.
yeah, these drawings are just, they're woefully inadequate.
Well, an important part of the design and the drawings is the relationship to the existing building.
Yeah.
So it's just, this, unfortunately, that structure is just visible from, extremely visible.
Everywhere.
So, I think it needs to just be, it can be fairly simple, but just like a, just nice, simple little piece of architecture.
Agreed. Do we have a motion? I think it's denial.
I'll make a motion for denial.
We have a motion on the floor for denial as submitted. Do I have a second to Bill's motion? Good. Thank you, Laura. Put the motion to the vote. Becky?
Yeah, in favor.
Carol?
Yeah, in favor.
Bill?
Yeah, in favor.
Yay in favor. Chair votes majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you all. Agenda item 4 is 28 Jasper Street, Franklin. It's introduction overview of the project.
Oh. 28 Jasper Street is in Radcliffe Borough Council District 7. It is a category 4, circa 1852 Lincoln City District. They're requesting an appeal of that denial for replacement of 11 windows. If the property is located on Jasper Street, and I will turn it over to the applicant.
Hey there, I'm Jordan Cox. I'm the owner of the property. And sorry, this is my first one, so I didn't realize we were supposed to bring a presentation, but we did bring a sample of the window that we'd like to replace the existing windows with. They're suffering from wood rot. We are preserving the front of the house with original windows and the whole lower level porch, all original windows. So we're just replacing only one window that's on the lower level, which is mostly obscured by the vehicle in the driveway. So if you look at a view from the public right of way, there's very limited view of the windows that would actually be replaced. And the window that we're trying to replace them with, it's an Heirloom window is the brand. It's all wood. And it's specifically designed and built to have a historic profile. So it matches the window. And yeah, so anyways, I'm trying to do the right thing by like preserving the front and everything that's clearly visible and just replacing the ones that need to be replaced. And there's really bad wood rot right now. I've got duct tape on multiple windows, keeping the rats and the roaches out. And yeah, hopefully can have you guys take a look at this and see if you would approve it.
Any questions for the applicant?
What year was the house built?
This says 1852. I was told 1865.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant?
And this is a full window unit, you're not just replacing sashes. Full window.
Right. Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, if you guys wanted to see that, we have some pictures too of the how bad the windows are.
Can I bring it up?
Sure.
I don't know if you wanted to see the window.
And it's a SDL?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What interior, all of that, interior lights.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Do we have anyone speaking to the public?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Sorry, well, with the Conservation Society of Charleston. The PSC upholds staff denial of simulated divided light windows, which are not appropriate or visually compatible with the historic character of this property or the Old City District. There is a path forward for repair and or replacement in kind as outlined in the city's newly adopted BAR policy statement on replacement windows, which is a helpful reference for determining what kind of windows are most appropriate for a property based on its age and location. I encourage the applicant to work with staff to find the best solution. Thank you.
You'll have a method.
Due to Chile Historic Charleston Foundation, we always recommend repair of historic windows over replacement whenever feasible. If replacement is deemed necessary per the BAR window policy statement, the windows should be replaced with true divided light wood. Thank you.
Anyone else speaking from the public? And I'll give you your response period in just a minute. Anyone? Okay, Frank, you have to give us any staff comments and recommendations.
I just have that, the staff denied the permit as this model was simulated divided light windows and staff cannot approve SDL windows for this stage of the structure. Our window.
All right, now, would you like to clarify or respond to anything raised, public comment or the staff comments?
Yeah, I'm not a window expert, but
Yeah.
they are, I believe that's true divided lights.
Yeah. So I'm the contractor. When we originally submitted the permit, I think she made a mistake by putting SDL. We moved to ultimate with a true authentic divided light. He did some research as a homeowner to keep a more historical look versus a Marvin Ultimate. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Marvin Ultimates coming across. He wanted to keep the historical look, so that's why we found the heirloom window. It is a true authentic divided light window. It's all wood, interior, exterior. So I think there was confusion on the application and then what we're presenting now.
So is that a simulated divided light?
No, this is true.
True
Divided
divided
light.
light.
Authentic. Yeah, there was just a confusion on the,
Yeah.
I think on the permit, something got messed up, but this is the window that we would like to replace. So this is replacing in kind.
And I know when I was doing the research for the windows, that the same brand is installed on Broad Street. I don't know what the address was, but if we need to send that to the staff, we can. So anyways, we agree trying to keep the historic look, and these windows are in awful shape, so they need replacement. We talked to staff about that. I think you guys saw some of the pictures. It's really bad. And so yeah, hopefully because it's your through divided light, these will work.
And I know there was a house next door, Victor, but we did this.
Yeah.
Right next door to you.
24 Jasper Street.
I personally believe these look a lot more authentic than even Belter built one or Victor built one.
Yeah, we were looking at that today. That's a huge violation. That's when this will be coming back out.
I'm better than the other.
Yeah.
Don't use that as a
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, public comment and the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote.
First of all, it's a horrible submittal. It's probably one of the worst submittals I've seen. There are no exterior photos of the windows. There's no sort of photographs or diagrams to say which windows are going to be replaced. There's just bare bones. It's a terrible submittal. Usually what we see in these cases is from what I saw out there on site this morning, it would have been nice if somebody had met us out there to explain things, but no one did. The rot that I could see and what I could see in these few little photos that we got, it's rot in sashes. And generally what we see as people coming in and requesting permission to replace sashes. It's just a bad idea preservation wise to put a whole new window unit in, because it's not going to look the same as the traditional old windows with the thick sills. Any new window, you're going to have to take the factory sill off and modify that. Get on top of the thick 3 1/4 sill that's on the house. It's I don't see any reason why this couldn't be treated more as a repair. Meaning, what I mean by repair sash replacement. This is completely overkill,
And they can work with staff on that.
and they can work with staff on that.
With correct drawings and all that.
Mhm.
Yes.
I think that's in line with the policy.
Yes.
So I think if you just work with staff on what they're able to approve and what the policies are. Sounds like you're kind of headed in the right direction, but just need to be clear with staff and find a solution. I mean, we understand, I mean, we saw particularly the one on the driveway side. We understand that sashes deteriorate and they need to be replaced.
That's more than just sashes though.
Well, I think that has to be defined with.
You guys get on the roof and look at the windows?
Well, that's part of the
Nobody was
problem.
there. We didn't have any access.
Nobody was there to meet us. The submittal is horrible. There's what, 4 or 5 photos in here? And that's it. I mean, we have to go off of what you've submitted.
Yeah, as the applicant, you have to provide you should provide elevations, numbering every window, the description of what is gonna happen to that window, what the condition is, whether it's gonna be a sash replacement, full replacement, that sort of thing. We're volunteers, we have day jobs, and we review all of this on our own time, trying to be prepared for these meetings. So providing as much as you can in a clear fashion is always helpful and is gonna help you get through faster too.
And sometimes some of the sashes have been replaced, they're not old.
Yeah,
Some of them have
are
been
not.
replaced before, and that's a really valuable piece of information,
Yeah.
like this isn't even an old, sash or unit, so I think that's.
And I suspect some of these sashes from what I saw are, untreated soft pine sash replacements that happen
Yeah.
here in,
Yeah,
over time, and that's why they're rotten. So, some of these may not even be original sashes, but the whole thing about preservation is you go back with what would have been there originally, so. And we allow things like this all the time in newer construction or new additions to historic buildings, but the actual historic building, you need to go back with what was original.
I apologize for the submittal. I kind of put that in the hands of our production team. And this is the first time we came across a bar review, so I'm learning. So thank you for your feedback. I don't take it personal at all. It's helpful for us to learn, so I appreciate that. I think based on what you guys are saying, is kind of go back, create more of a diagram, get more detail with each window that we feel needs replaced versus what we can truly repair.
Yes.
And be a lot more detailed with sketches, drawings, diagrams, exact window,
Photos.
not SDA ones, actual. Divided light
And
window.
provide the specs to the staff for the windows you're choosing or for the sashes you're choosing.
And one of the things too that I had come across with the bar too, when I had spoke to the bar, is they had told me that they have the ability to, if it's not a wholesale replacement of all the windows on the house. So I completely understand, but they had told me that we can basically do, like, let's say there's 20 windows, we can do a replacement of 11 windows at such as long as it meets the certain clear the classifications of authentic divided light, wood interior, wood exterior. And it should be a pretty fluid process. That's at least what was told to me. And again, it is sometimes a little bit confusing too. When we go to the bar, like for instance, the bar had told us that Marvin Ultimate was a window that they would approve, which is why we originally were thinking that. And just there was a couple things that kind of told to us that we found out later weren't actually the case after talking to multiple people. So again, that was probably our fault as well for not going to the right person at the bar, who just maybe taking the first piece of feedback. So our apologies there as well.
There's some good resources on the BAR website too.
So I think this sounds like it's a denial today, but it's also, I think y'all can work with staff. You don't have to come before the board staff when you submit appropriately, but I think what you're doing, you can work with staff if you're in the right direction. So,
Since this is an appeal, how do we word that?
I think we uphold the staff denial.
Okay, I make a motion to uphold the staff denial.
We have a motion on the floor to uphold staff denial. Do I have a second to Laura's motion?
Second.
Becky, the motion to the vote, Carol,
In favor.
Bill,
Yeah, they were.
Laura,
Yay in favor.
Becky. The chair votes the majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, agenda item 5 is to Kennedy Court. Frankie, if you give us an introduction over the project, please.
Kennedy Court, it is in Canberra Labor. 6, it is new construction in the Old City District. They're requesting a preliminary approval for a new single family dwelling. This is the property's location on Kennedy. Okay.
It's to render it as a house.
So this is a new house on 2 Kennedy Court. You all have seen this before, and we've listened to these men and we made what we think are appropriate responses. And we think so too. Basically, there was we were asked to restudy. You can see that the 3rd floor deck rail, or it was. So you could see we kind of incorporated a parapet into that. And we were asked to restudy. So left side, you can see we restudied it. It's more in keeping with a typical rail that you find in Charleston. We're also asked to study some of the board and batten siding previously, and so we restudied that, and you can see that we went with a shake style for that response. The next one of the next issues was the fenestration was not lining up. It wasn't as balanced. So we restudied, worked the floor plan a little bit better and restudied the fenestration balance and worked at just making it a little more balanced. We also were asked to remove the shutters from the front, which we did. Then also we were asked to restudy the dormer. So we pulled the dormer back, and I think that actually works a lot better too. But those were the things that we were asked to study.
Any questions for the applicant? All right. Do we have anyone speaking? Okay. If you could give us these staff comments and recommendations, please.
Staff just had the observation that we felt the previous board motion was interest and other. So we are recommending preliminary approval with a final review by staff of permit documents.
Frankie, Neil, do you want to respond to or clarify?
No, thank you.
Public comment, the applicant's presentation is now closed, so move into board discussion and a vote.
I think the changes to the 3rd floor railing, that's a nice improvement. I think the eave extensions help kind of ground the dormers much better. I do think the columns could be upscaled maybe to maybe an 8 by 8 instead of a 6 by 6 because they look, your rendering, they look beefier on the render. Elevations, I think they're maybe a little underscaled, maybe bump those up a little bit. And the air landing window, to me, it would be better if it were a single window instead of the game window. I just think it would look more balanced on that side. And then this is a minor thing. With columns, I think they need to come in a little bit from the corners. I usually say align the outer side of the shaft with the trim above. I think they're kind of teetering out the edges a little bit, but other than that, I think it's good to go.
I think there needs to be some, when it goes forward to final attention to the details, your elevations where you called out all the materials, still call out board and batten. The wall sections still call out board and batten. There's some discrepancy and inconsistency to me in what I'm seeing in the elevation, like the base of the columns versus what's being called out as a 1 by 6 when it looks like it's not a 1 by 6. So some attention to detail there is needed.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think just like Things about like the second floor, framing is called out in the elevations as 7.25, but it's 16 inches on the structural. And it looks actually like the doors and windows are set at 8 feet on the second floor, but that's like right at the ceiling. So again, it's interesting because the rendering looks right, but it doesn't look like the elevations are really matching that. So I think I agree that it's the attention to detail and how, like, where is the material change occurring between the lap siding and the shingle, where is that band? It looks a little higher and lower on the east and west elevation. So I think I agree with Laura, that it's just is. I think, the height scale mass and the general architectural direct, I think it's headed very much in the right direction, but I'm not sure that the documents are really coordinated.
We're at preliminary at this stage, so
What?
is it enough for preliminary? Because that's what it's up for.
I mean, to me, the wall sections don't match the elevations in that the materials are not called out right, the band's not shown. The eave is shown as a flat eave in the wall section, but shown as I know the right word, follows the rake in the elevations.
So we wanted to see it back for preliminary, but do you want to see it again, or do you want to defer, but
It's partly a question for how much staff has to
Yeah,
do review after
It's the
review after
burden on
review.
staff,
It's not
that's
fair
really
for that
being
either.
documented stuff.
it's the architecture, the massing's correct for the most part.
Yeah.
He just has to tune up the sections and noting. I don't think we should have to, because it's looking at details. I don't think we should have to see that again. He just needs to go through it with a highlighter and his intern.
So I guess we're
Also,
not giving it a preliminary
They
approval.
can't do a galvanized ring, I can't. They can't do that, right? On that enlarged policy on galvanized.
Not if they are, I mean, they can if they are able to hand crimp it and no ridge caps.
Right.
Looks like this is showing a ridge cap.
Right, it's just saying standing seam galvanized. Also, the 2x2 spindles seem, maybe that's right.
It's 2x2.
And the hardy is typically artisan, right?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
We
So-
do require the thicker.
Yeah, okay. Again, just,
I'm trying to figure out if it's like a deferral, but it goes to staff, or it's just another conceptual approval with preliminary and final staff.
I think that's what.
With board comments, board discussion.
For
Do you have
staff,
any other comments though to help staff out and Neil? Since this is going, sounds like we've got a consensus that it's gonna go to staff after this.
Frankie, you're comfortable with that, right? Or wrong?
Daryl, would you make a motion?
I'm making a motion. So I would say conceptual approval with staff and board comments. Yeah, preliminary and final by staff.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor for conceptual approval with staff and board comments, with preliminary and final review by staff. Do you have a second to Daryl's motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bill. Vote. Becky,
Yay in favor.
Laura, in favor, Daryl,
Yeah, in favor.
Bill,
Yeah, in favor.
chair vote to the majority, and the motion passes unanimously. Okay, agenda item 6 is 2 Radcliffe Street. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction, overview of the project, please.
2 Radcliffe Street is in Radcliffe Road, from the first floor. Surveyed circuit 1902, and you will see the district requesting conceptual approval for fenestration changes to existing facades. This is the property's location on Radcliffe Street, and I'll turn it over to the applicant.
Thank you, Neil Stevenson. So this building was built in like 1940. And it was a mortuary for funeral home for I think it's most of its life until I think that was the previous use. And then it sat for a long time. We're proposing we're trying to be as modest as possible, but still kind of dress it up a little bit. And our proposal for this for this marquee is to attach it lightly to the building. What we'd like to do is attach treated wood nailers that we anchor into the mortar joints so that they can be removed later until they're not damage the brick. And then this would be just attached so that at some point, if someone wants to ever do a real accurate restoration of the building, they could remove that and move forward. We're proposing to keep all the openings the same as far as just like the header and the width of the storefront and the right door and the windows. We're actually restoring. We found some old photos from like 1940 of that facade, which are in the set. They show all the aluminum awnings. So, and they're actually in pretty good shape. So we're just proposing, since that was original with the design, we're just gonna restore those and reuse them. You can see in the bottom left, we actually tracked that photo down from going to the actual funeral home that was there. They're now moved to Dorchester Road, and this picture was on their wall. So we took a picture of it off their wall, their office, but we couldn't find any other photos. So that was kind of a gem. You can see there's like, we're not proposing to go back with that curved awning from the center, but you can see there's still a scar on the building for that. The brick is like not in great shape. And it's just like the wire cut brick from the 40s. Not my favorite type, but you know, it is historical. So, you know, this is an idea that we're just floating by that we'll probably have to come back to do is to lime wash the building. But I've got a few, if you don't mind me passing this around. This is a horrible copy because my ink was going on my printer, but we would go with historical colors. And actually we pulled the colors from Historic Charleston Foundation. But I think that kind of helps even the building out because it is a little bit, the brick is a little bit chewed up. I don't know if you also saw that this morning, but for the most part, we're just renovating the building in time. The rest of it, we are going to come back to this back part and we'd like to propose a mural into that with a local artist, and you'll see that again, but the more clearer proposal for that. But for the most part, we really just would like to make this building a little more presentable for current use other than a funeral home. And by doing that, we're proposing to just attach a structure that could be unattached later on. If anyone ever needed to do that.
Any questions for the applicant?
So Neil, is this one of those instances where somebody just put a brick veneer over an old?
No, it's a brick. It's a brick, yeah. No, it's funny because the sides are wood frame. So there's been some weird stuff that's gone on in this building, and it's actually got a beam, a steel beam that runs right down the center, and it lands over the front door. Very structurally, it's a strange setup. There's been some things that have gone on in this building that, but again, it was like, I don't think there were too many more owners or tenants of this building besides the funeral home.
Any other questions for the applicant?
And I know we're not to the point of sections and all, but I assume you're going to recess into the masonry, the storefront. will be
Yes.
recessed. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Do we have anyone in the public? All right, if you give us these staff comments and recommendations, please.
Staff has observations, we feel that the band is very tall. Our condition for approval would be to reduce the height of that band, so it does not engage far up to the second floor windows. Staff suggests eliminating sort of the metal columns on either side of it. But our recommendation is a conceptual approval with board and staff conditions and preliminary final and staff.
Thank you, Frankie. Neil, did you want to respond to or clarify anything in the staff comments and recommendations?
Just that we would be open to exploring any of that.
All right, public comment on the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote.
I agree with staff's comments. I don't have anything to add to it. The rendering looked much better than the CAD drawing because the CAD drawings aren't, they are CAD drawings. They're just kind of flat, they're not detailed. So it's hard to know if it's good or not.
I agree. I think the sign band, that whole band could come down maybe at least maybe by a third. I don't know what the magic number is.
But staff is saying they don't know. There is talking about suggests eliminating the metal columns on either side. So it sounds like we're fine with kind of creating the openings and inserting this, you know, the sort of door and windows into the space, but then it's the whole surround.
This is
with
the
what-
surround, I think.
Yeah.
So are those metal? Are the sides metal or is that also wood? Or
It's wood.
if you're referring to metal?
We weren't, well,
Or you weren't?
It's wood, but it needs to be metal.
Yeah, I think just simplify. Just what you're doing that's in the recess, I think is all good, but I think the rest of it's kind of overkill.
I
Yeah, the
agree.
surround.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the signage was brought into the glass, the two, you know, the storefront. And then all the other stuff went away and it was just brick. So
You can even do a detached sign band that actually sits up a little bit, you know. if you wanted to. I think it's just reading to me, it's reading very heavy. Yeah. I think it actually detaching that sign band might actually make it read a little skinny, height of it.
Okay, so is this a conceptual approval with staff comments? And do we need to add to the staff conditions for approval? It's just says reduce height of the signage band, but it seems like there's a general board comment to simplify.
Yeah, just, general comments. I think what's being recessed into this purpose is all fine. It's just around.
Who's making a motion? Bill, you made a motion? Yes.
I would make a motion for conceptual approval, preliminary and final review by staff, taking into account staff comments, general boards.
Okay, so conceptual approval. With preliminary final review by staff with the staff conditions. And more discussion. All right, do I have a second to Bill's motion?
I second.
Motion for the vote, Daryl?
you in favor?
You in favor, Michelle?
Yeah, in favor.
Becky?
Yeah, in favor.
Chair vote for the majority and the motion is unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item 7, 130 Romney Street. Frankie, if you give us an introduction overview of the project, please.
Romney Street is in North Central Council District 4. It is a federal street, picture inventory, circuit 1975, in the first quarter. Requesting final approval for second story addition, costing expansion. Is the property's location on Romney Street. And we'll turn it over to the applicant.
Thank you. I think it's supposed to say conceptual approval, not final.
I let you check to find.
Did I?
It needed to be conceptual.
Does?
Yeah, I addressed that in the staff comment.
Okay, appreciate it. So this was the list of staff and board observations from my last submittal. These are just my notes, each one being addressed. These are the historic aerials and Sanborn maps that was presented in the last meeting. Here's some more clear pictures of the existing conditions of the house. I'm proposing an addition on an expansion of the second floor out to meet the I guess just over this little pop out on the first floor. One of the big comments from my last submittal was just the submittal was not accurately portraying what we were doing. So I have existing conditions now, previously proposed condition, and what we're proposing. This is all kind of showing interior work. I do want to note though that one of the comments I previously was moving these windows here, separating them. I'm no longer doing that. I'm not changing the size of the windows or moving them. This is the second floor, so existing, what was previously proposed and what is now being proposed. This is the front of the home facing Romney Street, existing, previous, and proposed. Nothing's changing on the front. I am requesting to replace all the windows, so these are what these notes will show on my window schedule. I'm now showing better fenestration details on the exterior. Not much was shown previously. The chimneys are now shown. The addition here is now shown as subordinate to the existing structure with the roof line lower than the existing roof. This is the rear of the home. Again, adding the fenestration detail, matching the size of the windows on the addition to the size currently there. And the roof line being subordinate. And this is the east elevation. Same thing as the other side, showing how it's subordinate, adding fenestration details. I did some research and found that this Pella Reserve traditional window had been previously accepted on other jobs, other local projects. So I have 10 different window sizes and window types. That's called out those 10 below. Window schedule. And it just matches this note on them. Here's pictures of each window. They're basically just painted over multiple times. They're not able to open visible air gaps, and I would prefer to invest in replacement time. It's been previously versus repair.
How old is the house?
I believe it was built in the 1920s.
Is this the right time to ask a question? Sorry.
You can ask a question at any time.
How old, are the windows original to the house, or do you know if they've been replaced?
That I don't know. I bought the house 2 years ago.
And if you had anything else, you can continue going or we can start asking.
No, that's it. The rest is structural details for the foundation.
Any other questions for the applicant?
So, with your new windows, are you planning on retaining the historic fills that are there?
Yeah, we do that.
Because in your drawings, that looked a little different than one. And one other question, your second floor addition, what are your ceiling heights in there? You know?
I believe there are 9 feet. That's. I'm gauging your question, it's probably why can this side be lower too?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it would look cleaner if you could match that pitch of the existing roof.
Yeah, the ceiling height would be lower than the rest of the.
It'd be clipped in the corners, is what you're saying, yeah, if,
Yeah, the ceiling would.
which it may need to be,
Yeah.
right? That'd be hard to build, be hard to flash.
I could change it.
That would be better.
If you get wet.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Do we have anyone speaking?
Utility Historic Charleston Foundation. HCF appreciates the improved submittal package for this application. As proposed, we are generally comfortable with architectural direction. We do believe the fenestration could be further studied, and we appreciate the effort to keep the addition subordinate in height to the historic structure. Thank you.
Laurel Fay with the Preservation Society of Charleston. The PSC appreciates how much this drawing set has improved since the last time this proposal came before the board. Based on the window survey provided, we are confident that most, if not all, windows can be repaired to be made operable again. We ask that replacement be limited to windows that are truly beyond repair. Thank you.
Anyone else speaking from the public? Frank, you could give us the staff comments and recommendations, please.
Staff just had the observation that the previous board motion has been addressed, and we were recommending conceptual approval with the preliminary final review.
Frank, did you want to respond to or clarify anything raised in the public comment, and staff comments and recommendations? Okay, public comment in the applicant's presentation is now closed, so we can close discussion and a vote.
Frankie, is this in the area where where there's more leeway with windows, where they can?
It is in the historic corridor district. But I will note that I don't remember going through all of the windows to confirm whether or not they needed to be replaced or not. We were mostly going off of the previous board comments and seeing whether they had been addressed.
I would put with insulated windows, simulated divided like that. Wow.
This is historic corridor?
This is historic corridor.
Oh, because it is a, oh,
Yeah, Bromley has a,
it's a weird street, I think.
So would insulated windows be allowed?
they would be allowed on the new additions.
Okay. Anything on the board body?
Well, it is actually a group 2, so that would allow insulated windows.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to stop to think about that.
So insulated windows all over.
They would be allowed.
Do we have any kind of documentation or knowledge of what the original light cut would have been? Because there are 2 light cuts that are in the building now, so. And it would be nice to unify the light cuts. It's just, which do you choose?
Yeah, I do not have any information, unfortunately.
I think better pictures provided to the staff, so they can see in terms of the windows, like the jams, and understanding what maybe which ones were original or older.
Are we for discussion?
We are,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, I think what's important, I think the windows are the 2 things that my main 2 comments we've kind of discussed. One is the rear addition, bringing the eaves down, so you follow that same slope of the original building mass that tucks underneath the existing eave. And then the windows, just making sure that you retain the thick sills that are on the historically accurate thick sills and the window trim dimension and all of that. You work with keeping that. And then one other thing is there was a corner board on the sides that went all the way down, I think originally, and then it's been eliminated on the first floor, but kept on the second.
Are you talking about at the addition?
Yeah. Yeah.
It looks like in this picture it stops. Yeah,
It does.
in the picture of that corner board where they're adding the second floor stops at the roof line of the first floor addition.
This is what I was looking at here is,
Oh, on that
let it continue down instead of, what being proposed here where it appears. I don't think that piece.
But in one of the pictures, it doesn't exist. So in this picture, it doesn't
Okay,
exist.
yeah, okay,
So if it exists, it should stay. If it doesn't exist,
right.
but I'm not finding quickly the picture for the other.
But it is a much better. Appreciate that. I just had those couple of things.
Anything else? Or are we looking at a conceptual approval so you can?
I have one question. So what about the windows? They can do the SDL windows in this then, in the 1920s category 2 building?
It is the category 3, but it's in our group 2 for that north of Line Street policy. So it would be allowed, SDLs.
Okay.
Is the north elevation visible?
The north being the rear.
No,
It is through, it's pretty open through the back. You can see it from the back street. Yeah. That's something else I'd like to say is maybe kind of improve the window arrangement. Give a little more cohesiveness to it.
Yeah.
They don't have to be if you need to meet egress, you need big enough windows, of course, at a bedroom, but like at the bathroom, they don't have to be the same size as the first floor necessarily. In fact, they look bigger than the first floor. Often when we go up to second floor, we go a little bit smaller. So just a thought to study that, or maybe you don't need a window in each space because they're kind of squished there together.
Yeah.
There's 3 on the back.
Yeah. I think the original, the first submittal, can I go back to it? Yeah, so we had previously done sort of like that, but yeah, we can study that.
Yeah, if you could start to align some top and bottoms, kind of like that, just kind of clean things up.
Yeah.
So it's not as kind of scattered looking.
Okay. But are you guys saying I can replace the first floor windows, or are you saying?
Frank, yeah.
I think that's right. I think it's
According to the
Work with staff on
policy
that.
for replacement windows. Can be SDLs.
I think getting some unity in the windows. There are different types of light cuts.
Well, just to clarify, by approving this, are we approving full replacement of the windows versus should we deny that particular piece, but the purpose of denial is so we can work with staff on whatever is allowed.
We can't approve. Or we wouldn't want to approve. full
Yeah, that's
replacement
what
with
my
the
only
clad.
clarification. That'd be the only piece.
There's still, I thought we were looking at conceptual for the addition.
Yeah, but they're calling out. You
I
know,
think that's part of the plans, though. I don't want to approve them if the plans call.
right. like they're calling out, like number one window to be replaced.
Or so maybe it's a different way, maybe we can give conceptual approval of the addition as shown.
With all those other details.
Yeah, that's, they can work with stuff.
Have them work with staff on the one.
Make a motion to approve for conceptual approval with preliminary and final review by staff
Of the,
of the addition
okay,
with staff, no board comment to restudy the roof of the addition to bring it down. And to restudy the windows at the north elevation. Yeah, cover everything. Addition, roof, windows.
I had retained the historic sills. Oh, wait, but we're talking about the addition, so.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so we have a motion on the floor for conceptual approval of the addition with preliminary and final review by staff with some board conditions to restudy the roof of the addition to bring down pitch. And to restudy the window configuration. Do you have a second?
Actually, you'll be increasing.
Yeah,
Or
Oh,
bringing
I
it in
think-
staff.
I actually had matched the pitch of the existing
Yeah,
roof.
yeah, do that.
Study,
Do you want to add, lower the bearing plate?
and lower bearing plate.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we have a motion on the floor for conceptual approval of the addition with preliminary and final review by staff with board conditions to restudy the roof to match the pitch of the existing roof and to lower the bearing plate, and two, to restudy the window configuration. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Bill? Vote, Becky?
Yeah. in favor.
Daryl?
Yeah, in favor.
Yeah, in favor. Bill?
Yeah.
Here's the majority in the motion unanimously. So you work with staff, going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you all. All right, agenda item 8 is 42 Society Street. Frank, if you'll give us an introductory overview of the project, please.
42 Society Street is in Ensign, Council District 8. It is a category 2, circa 1854 in the Golden Star District. Requesting conceptual approval for gas lanterns, garden shed, and shutters. This is the property's location on Society, and I will turn it over to the applicant.
Hello, Ruben Sowar with Glen Keys Architects. This is the Juliana Dupree House, 42 Society Street, built in 1854. The application is for 3 things. New gas lanterns on the piazza, first and second floors, and around the corner on the back porch. Introduction of or installation of shutters on the first and second floor of the piazza, and you can see in the photograph, we have the existing ones on the south elevation, street elevation. And the third part is a garden shed in the rear of the property for use of storage and what have you. So I'll take you through the garden shed first, and then we can wrap up with the other 2 components. In 1960, Latrell Briggs designed the garden for this project. This was one of the earliest of the Historic Charleston Foundation's renovation projects and restoration projects in that neighborhood. He designed several gardens along the street. This is one of them. In 2008, I believe, the octagonal, kind of elongated octagonal room was added on, and then the garden was kind of updated. When we kind of approach this in terms of putting a garden shed in the back of the building, the idea is always to sort of build in this area on that east side of the property and follow the main part of the house and keep the west side open. But this is a very, very strong garden design. The house at 44 is actually located toward the rear of the property. So all of this is open front yard facing Society Street. And so as we got into the garden and trying to sort of appreciate the garden and maintain everything, we've sort of came to the conclusion that this was actually the better spot to locate the building. It puts it in public right-of-way view. And so you can see where we have located it. I'll take you to a couple of photographs. This is from the piazza, looking straight through the garden. There's very, very strong access that runs north to south. As you go back into the garden, there's a circular area, grassy area, and then you transition into the third part of the garden, which was at the rear. This is the property at the wall at 44 Society Street. And then this is another photograph of it as well. This is looking back towards the house. You can see the octagonal room. When we first started out, the idea was, well, we'll just add on to this, but it's really not a building, a part of a form or a building you can, or part of the house you really can add on to without really sort of ruining that whole space. You can see from the piazza that's very, very strong access that goes straight on through. And this is photographed from the rear or from the north side looking back towards Society Street. Sandmar maps, you can see as of 1955, there was still the masonry kitchen building that was there. We do not know. I wasn't able to find any history of when that got demolished or the circumstances around it. I'll pass over this part, and we'll get back to that. Looking east, this is, of course, the backside of our building that is in between the neighbor's wall and our wall. This is looking west, and you see the garden shed relative to, this is the massing of the house that's adjacent at 44. In elevation from the street, this is the location of where the garden shed would be. And then this is from the north side looking back towards the street. These are the up close elevations of the shed itself. Again, the line of the house at 44. The idea is to anchor that west side of the garden with something that sort of brings the scale down from the sort of that massive wall that we have and sort of a garden folly. So we tried to just kind of play with more curves, more organic forms, introduction of the trellis on the garden side, so some greenery can grow up. So it'll be a proper or west side to the whole garden. I'll go back. The lanterns and the shutters. Idea is to introduce lanterns flanking the door on the piazza. You see in the larger elevation or the larger photograph here. And also, as you come around to the back side of the piazza, introduce lanterns on the garden where, or on the corner where they have sort of a dining space. In plan, 2 lanterns flanking the doorway on the first floor only, and then a second gas lantern on the first floor piazza at the corner, and then 1 on the second floor as well. And then you can see these windows where we're proposing the introduction of shutters. And that's the application.
Any questions for the applicant?
So are you in a flood zone? Are you in a flood zone?
I'm sorry?
Are you in a flood zone?
No.
Well, good for you.
Any other questions? Anyone speaking?
Heat Utilities for Charleston Foundation, HCF will please on 42 Society. We have approved the proposed plans and found them to be compliant with the terms of our easement.
Anyone else speaking? Okay, Frank, you could give us city staff's comments and recommendations, please.
Staff just have some observations. We did a category 2, so staff can only approve repairs to match. From what we saw, there were not shutters historically on the building. They were added on the front, but not until 1950s. Just information. And the accessory structure is subordinate and differentiated. Staff recommendation is a conceptual approval with preliminary and final by staff.
Thank you, Frankie. Did you want to respond to or clarify anything? Did you want to respond to or clarify anything raised in the public comment or the staff? Public comment and the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote.
Nicely done.
Yeah, I do too.
And start Charleston.
I even think it needs to go back for staff review. It's got wall sections and all the details are there.
Are we allowed to say like preliminary? Because I think y'all have to do final. approval.
Permits, yes.
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
can,
We can make a motion for preliminary.
Actually, the only, like, very minor, but the only comment I had was that one gas lantern that's kind of on the corner. Seems kind of unusual or awkward, something. This is kind of a funny placement of that.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen it. It's unusual, but I don't know that it necessarily looks bad.
I'm not gonna lose sleep over it.
Yeah.
It just seemed unusual.
Do we have a motion for preliminary?
Make a motion to approve conceptual and preliminary as submitted. Final review by staff.
All right, we have a motion on the floor for conceptual and preliminary approval, with final review by staff. Do I have a second to Daryl's motion?
Second.
Thank you, Laura. I'll put the motion to a vote. Bill,
Yeah, in favor.
Becky,
Yeah.
Daryl,
Yeah.
Laura.
Yeah, in favor.
Chair votes to majority and the motion passed unanimously. Thank you. Yes, we will reconvene at 6:37.
I meant to pull this up earlier for you, but
No,
we moved.
I was turning my head away.
Y'all were just fast with the motion. For I would.
Yeah, that.
Oh my God. It's bugging my legs.
I know, me too. I was like, wow.
Feeling better? Yes.
Like they say that they were talking about. Yeah. Sorry.
We started out.
Okay, I will put it yesterday was very large and got into that five, so it was really so pretty. I was like, wait, this is earlier for me.
There's nothing.
This week's great. So like our forums on that. So crazy. Late night. Not. Staying home.
Well. Yeah, you want to do it good, but you don't want to put it up right now. You always kick my phone. I texted me. I'm done. That's awesome. Appreciate it. Enjoy that. Yeah. We're getting to do this. Yeah, right. Yeah. That's me.
Great year.
Yeah.
Not feeling the pain. Like,
I know,
it'd be so nice. Yeah. More about a break.
because remember, we went from the candy for us off to the. We went so many, we put us up to the next meeting.
No, I think going to, and I think we're going to, where there's a bunch of us that want to go, so we're like, it's just fitting into schedule, you know, like. I would just, I would so hard. Good program, but it's like so interesting. So proud of it. I'm so excited to be it. Well, exactly. I want one regardless. It will be. It's like my little baby. I love that. They're so interesting. I want one. I need to bring it back. Like why can I develop this year's gift? Could I already build one?
Yeah, so.
Yeah, like bring it to a builder. If this is the floor plan. This is what I want. And then you built it for me. Like purchase that from Sears. Somehow that would make it better. Yeah, let's just, harvest like growth wood. Yeah. Just, logistics work. Save so much money on the design. And they're either wood if they got it. We need to get all the rest of it. Go on sport next week.
Yeah.
But I literally want to invite that, but really. I don't know, but a little email. Maybe I'll be like.
Like it is now.
Like.
Where.
Yeah.
Before that, it was no good too.
But.
It's St. Louis. Then the church and that, so. That was actually a boy. And the church stuff.
Yeah. It's I think what Neil was that.
I know, so it's like, if we have a little fiesta, we have work a day. But yeah, it's always like almost far. And stuff.
Okay. And we're the only two there? Oh, one will come. Been there before 1973. Yeah. Bring this one up also. They won't put those up. They have to do something with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, Dad. You'll be able to put it right from there. Because it's designed now, but it's just where you got a little lane.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah, I mean, like, we could step on the front, I'm going up this.
Oh, yeah.
There's a landing and then there's a step, or it just goes straight up. So then I'll walk on the porch, yeah, and then one step up off the when you open that door, right there, that door swing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to look at it. You come on, porch. Oh.
Better peanut butter crackers.
And then the engineer, somebody I'd never heard of.
Oh, yeah.
It's like.
We are on agenda item 9, 245 King Street. Frank, if you'll do the introduction overview of the project, please.
245 King Street is in Hoffman Village, Council District 8. It is category 2, circa 1840 in the Old Historic District. We are requesting a conceptual approval for alterations to the existing storefront, including the entablature and an addition of brick. With that, this is the location on King Street. Come on up. I'll turn it over to you.
Hey everyone, I am Luke with Coast Architects, and you may remember this one from a couple months ago. Basically, y'all had requested some additional information, and you may remember it from, I think, last September, where we got approval for an overall renovation, removing the storefront and replacing it and all that good stuff. So I think they just wrapped up construction. So all we are requesting now is to renovate the entablature because the client really wants to add brackets. So just a little historic background on the building. Like Frankie said, it was built in the 1840s. It was basically two separate buildings. And then sometime in the early 1900s, the ground floor was converted into a single storefront. You can see some existing photos here. That Mutual Carpet Company one in the top middle was whenever it was two distinct buildings at the ground floor. And then it turned into a 5 and dime, which in the early 1900s, which I think is when it was converted into a single storefront on the ground floor between the two buildings. And then the Audubon shop to the bottom left is kind of the state it was in whenever we got to it. So these are some existing photos from before the renovation that has already occurred. It was a rack room shoes, and the existing entablature was basically just plywood. I imagine that the original entablature had fallen into disrepair some time ago and been kind of taken off and covered up. So this is a floor plan because of the requirement, but nothing is changing on the interior. Like I said, it's just the entablature above the storefront, but it does wrap the corner. So going from the top down, the top is what was originally presented to the board back in September of last year. We had received conceptual approval with final by staff, with the condition to remove the brackets, the proposed brackets, because it felt too applied. The original entablature, there wasn't any proposal to do anything to it. So in all reality, the brackets were essentially applied. So in the middle, that is the elevation that was ultimately approved and given a permit and the construction completed. So the original entablature was just essentially left alone. Well, it was removed and then replaced the way that it was because of construction requirements to get the storefront in. And then the bottom image are the two elevations that we're proposing. On the left is on the side street, and on the right is King Street. The brackets that we're proposing are consoles. They're basically a little bit less the width of the pilasters or columns, and they're at each one. And we are proposing to do some entablature design in order to complement the brackets and make it a bit more classically proportionate. So like I said, it was originally, they were two separate buildings. So they have distinct entablatures and designs at the second floor level. So what we wanted to do was try to bring those two designs together. So bringing the antefix of the consoles from the left building and the finial from the right building, kind of melding them into this bracket design on the top right that you see. And then of course, using classical proportions in terms of the scroll work of the bracket itself. And then you can see the cornice design profile in conjunction with the bracket, which is also classical proportions as well. If you're interested, we can go into more of the details if you'd like. But essentially the attempt was the original building had two separate entablature designs and console designs on this ground floor. But whenever it was combined into one storefront on the ground floor, that kind of got lost. So we're trying our best to unify it and give King Street a bit more of an entablature than what's currently there, which is just a plywood box. So these are some renderings showing that. You can see that the entablature, it projects out at the cornice to kind of incorporate those brackets. And the frieze making room for the already permitted aloe sign. And some more. Let's see. So this is what we're proposing in terms of the renderings, and then we provided some renderings side by side with what was previously proposed last September. That was where the brackets were requested by y'all to be removed. So that's it. I'll leave it on that.
Any questions? All right, thank you. Do we have anyone speaking? Frankie, if you give us any staff comments and recommendations, please.
Just have the observation that this was previously denied as a condition from the motion September 25th last year. Received conceptual approval, board and staff condition. Final by staff, and one of the board conditions was that the brackets would be eliminated.
Okay, did you want to respond to or clarify anything raised in the staff comments? All right, public comment in the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and vote. I think our problem at the last meeting, like a month or two ago, was just there wasn't like the submittal requirements that we needed to see.
Right, you wanted to see what was previous because I hadn't been at the September and
we didn't remember.
Somebody else hadn't. Yeah. I think that was the big part of being able to see the side by side is important.
Yeah, so I don't think we had a problem with the design the last meeting. It was just, we really wanted to see what had changed, which I think they've shown that here.
It was kind of incomplete, minimal drawings.
Yes.
And the fact that you guys don't have an issue with it, I don't have an issue with it.
And I appreciate there's a lot of thought that went into this and a lot of detail and it is nice to see something well thought out and well designed in a way that does unify the two buildings, speaks to the two buildings. So
Laura, did you want to make a motion?
I move, wait a minute, what are we?
What are we
doing?
on? Are we, is this a
Final or what are we requesting? Conceptual approval? I
make a conceptual approval?
make a motion for conceptual and preliminary approval with final a review by staff during permitting.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor for conceptual and preliminary approval with final review by staff. Do you have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Daryl. I'll put the motion to vote. Bill?
Yeah, in favor.
Becky?
Yay in favor.
Laura?
Yeah, in favor.
Daryl?
Yeah, in favor.
Chair votes the majority and the motion passed unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 10 is 16 Bennett Street. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction over the project, please.
Street is in Charleston Village, Council District 8. It is not surveyed circa 1920 in the old historic district. They are requesting conceptual approval to elevate building 4 feet above base flood elevation and with a new deck. This is the property's location on Bennett Street. And I will turn it over to them.
I'm Patrick McGrath, representing Open Development. We were informed that this was denied, so we.
No, we sent staff comments of what our comments and recommendation would be.
So you can still present and or you can defer.
To provide you with information if you wanted to go ahead and prepare an argument against staff.
Okay, can I defer to, I'm not the architect on this project, so.
Yeah, if you're the applicant, I'd make a motion to defer.
Yeah, we just thought it was denied, so.
I guess, can the
Present
applicant
this one.
withdraw at the meeting? Do they have to
They can withdraw at any time.
Okay. Does that,
Back to like another person.
Okay.
On the agenda.
well, then I guess we can mark this as we don't have to make a motion. They can withdraw it. So withdrawn by applicant. And that'll put them in a future meeting or do they have to reapply?
I'm gonna recommend that they meet with staff and talk about the comments. That's why we send them in case you want to withdraw and discuss with staff before going.
Okay.
I'm only communicating what was communicated to me on it, so. So,
And better explanation if that would help.
great.
No complaints here. Thank
Be up
you.
here for the next.
All right, agenda item 11, 137 Bufane Street. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction over the project, please.
137 Bufane Street is in Charleston Village, Council District 8. It is not surveyed circa 1930 in the old historic district. Requesting conceptual approval for a new screen, chimney and fenestration changes. This is the property's location on Bufane. And I'll turn it over to the applicant.
Patrick McGrath again, architect with Cozy Development. First thing I want to point out is this is copied from the BAR portal, kind of shows the history of how many times this project has been through. The submission process, we have done our best in this presentation to clean that up with our records of what we have to simplify that into the previous approvals and organize that on top of that. So here, the one thing I want to point out on this side is primarily pertaining to the FEMA flood zone map that we previously approved in 24 by the BAR for the lift of the house. Here, I'd like to point out that the first time the house shows up on the Sanborn map in 1944, this is the main house here. The addition is not on this map and it shows up later in the mid 80s. On this side here, we're mainly pointing out that the neighboring architecture is not particularly consistent to any style. And the one thing we do want to make a reference to is 139 Bufane Street does have exposed rafter tails.
at the front and rear porch, which will show up on our proposal in this submission. These are some images of the construction in progress of the previously approved lift and renovations. Again, would like to point out here that on the addition here, we are showing the rafter tails, and the windows here will also show up on our proposal on the addition at the back of the home. Okay, so here, let's see. I'd like to point out that the site plan for the previous proposed, there's just an error here. That wasn't 24, that's 25. And that'll show up on all the plans throughout. It's just a typo. But the approval we're seeking is for revised porch, similar to the previous submission, but with changes to the structure. So on the previous submittal for the porch, originally had a stair here at the rear, and our new submission, we are removing that stair.
You're just taking them out?
Yeah, just taking it out.
Okay.
Let's see. So the previous submission plan had the south face of the chimney flush with the exterior face of the house. We're moving the chimney slightly inboard of that exterior face of the home, about 2.5 inches. And then the porch itself is set back an additional 10 inches from that existing wall to the vertical members of the screen porch. We're also requesting to relocate one existing window to the left end page. It would be this window here. It would be shifting over about a foot, and the reason for that is to try and get symmetry in the interior living space. I'll point that out on the elevation as well. Next. Not proposing any new or additional changes to the second floor. The new design just provides a simplified roof slopes on the proposed porch with lower slopes. The roof would also be a painted metal folded seam roof, and there's no other roof changes proposed except where the new porch roof would intersect the existing roofs. Okay, so in this one, I just want to point out that there was an approval for the relocation of this existing window originally, and we're just wanting to point that out because that's a similar condition to the other elevation that we're trying to do. It shifted over just about a foot. So the previous submission had full height screening at the porch, stucco chimney piece, hipped roofs, and the rear stair. The current design still maintains full height screening at the porch, increased structural depth, lower slope roof lines, exposed rafter tails, similar to the neighboring property and the addition of the building. Stucco chimney encloses a ventless gas fireplace. There's no more rear stair, and there would be decorative lattice infill at the lower level. And then this doesn't show up very well. And this, so I actually just realized there's a graphic error on that. This is that existing window that we're proposing to shift over foot. Plan. These facades aren't really affected by its submission. And then the final slide. Just point out that the 2024 submission here, the garage, outswing garage doors that were under the primary home. In 2025 submission, we moved the garage doors to the underside of the 1984 addition. We're proposing to keep the underside of the porch open at this elevation here. And then we would still have the full height screen porch, floor slope roofs, exposed rafter tails, stucco chimney piece. We are proposing 2 new windows in the 1984 addition here. They would be the same in kind with the windows on the east and west elevation of that addition as well. And final notes would just be, we intended to retain a design similar to what was previously approved, and the changes to the roof and rafters, we think, improve the overall design.
Any questions for you?
Yes, can you
Yeah.
go back to that last slide? On the part you referred to as the 1984 edition, why are the roof lines different? Like at the top and the bottom, they're separated more,
Yeah.
but in the middle two, they're different.
That is a remnant of just existing drawings and an error. We were trying to track that down and like actually measure where that roof is. We're not adjusting anything to that. The
Okay.
actual roof eave and pitch, we believe, is here. As you see in this image.
Okay,
So
yeah,
it
there's
is
a good
stepped
bit of
down much
space
lower
there.
than, yeah.
But
We
it's
didn't
staying
think the other
over
ones
the-
are incorrect,
Okay.
the other drawings.
Could you go to the plans? I think it was C1. Yeah, so. I guess. It looks like we're taking off the stair, but then there's like. Kind of a footprint change between this one and this one. So if you see, there's kind of this bay piece and then this is flush. Whereas here you have kind of the bay piece and then the porch bumps out. So and there aren't any dimensions on the new ones. It's just, it's hard to understand. And then this starts to look really awkward in the elevation. That's actually why I'm asking about it.
Got you.
So,
Don't
didn't know if the porch grew or again, I guess just wondering what's happening since that wasn't called out as a change, but those two different drawings are different. And then if you go to the elevation, it looks awkward, you know, it's hard to end that porch roof because there's a weird little base there. And honestly, this is why we have seen this project so many times. So the fact that there are all these presentations is actually, the problem is that the drawings are different like every time.
Right.
So I think that's the challenge for us.
There's been quite a few hands that this is.
Yeah, somebody differently presented it every time. So so that's a testament to the inconsistency. But it's like, it's just hard to review that rear elevation.
We could definitely.
It's the area Ms. Altman was asking about with that roof's lower, now the porch roof is wrapping around with the open wrap. It's all kind of awkward back there.
I think the extension of the space was to create symmetry with the chimney. And then similarly to the proportion on this elevation of the house. So that's why this bump out increased a little bit.
Maybe the chimney needs to move to keep everything symmetrical. Put it on back in.
Left hand page.
No.
It's not built yet, right?
No.
Because if you look at your roof plan, if you could keep that new low slope roof within of, like if this roof could be pulled back to this.
Right, which is where it
higher
used to
roof
be, right?
into where the wall is, then maybe it won't have such an awkward situation.
And we are in board questions.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine, just to let everybody know. Are there any other questions for the applicants? Even us on that. Thank you. Do we have anyone speaking to the public? Can you give us feedback on the recommendations?
We just have that, because we don't have any further comments on it.
Before we move back into board discussion, did you want to clarify or respond to anything in the staff
comments?
We did study that plan and elevation where the line of the roof falls.
Okay. All right, public comment, the applicant's presentation is now closed. Now we'll move into board discussion in a bit.
I think it's all been said.
Yeah, it might
I
have,
think just that plan change and roof change is problematic.
but I think you want to see it back. I mean, I don't.
I don't see it again.
I think.
I see it
already
in the
4
night.
years in, I've seen this project.
I think it's a detail thing.
So do you think they could go work with staff?
I mean, I think in general, the lower slope roof and the chimney looks better than it looked before. And I haven't seen this
Yeah.
other than driving by it.
As much as I don't want to have is, what about the shifting the window? Cause then it's out of symmetry, or it doesn't line up with the window above it. I mean,
Oh,
it's not
right.
a huge deal, but
But it's never lined, because it never.
it's lined up with the window above it. It's never lined up. It's never been symmetrical, like, with the two windows on either side of the door. But.
Yeah.
Nobody else cares.
Well, I don't care about anything on this.
I mean, it looks better lined up, let's say.
I've seen it enough.
Okay, who has a motion? Does anybody have a motion for conceptual approval with board comments?
Well, I think it has to be clear that, the plan,
Hold
the
on.
footprint or the porch cannot grow.
So a board condition.
Because I think that's creating creating some awkward issues. back
Does
there.
the porch footprint need to be restudied or just?
It needs to
Need
go
to
back
be
to where it used to be when the previous approval.
Okay. So Becky, I think, what your motion? Did you make a motion?
Make a motion for conceptual approval with. Should staff have.
Preliminary and final review, no, they don't, but I've got your board condition that the porch footprint needs to revert back to the previous submittal. Do I have a second to, and that was preliminary and final review by staff. Do I have a second to Becky's motion?
I'll second it.
Or the motion to a vote, Bill,
In favor.
Daryl,
In favor.
Laura, two in favor.
That's called
The chair votes the majority and the motion passed unanimously, and really,
This thing
we
actually
were
started out before all.
a little, flippant up here, but I do want to make sure you
It
understood
goes back
the
down.
comment so that you can work with staff.
Sure.
And that we don't see this again.
Hear you on that. As far as I understood it, it's primarily just the footprint of the porch.
Yeah, and it seems like no one had any comments on the window shifting, and I don't think anybody had a problem with the staircase coming off back,
Yeah.
so that was it. Yeah.
All right, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
I should have.
Okay, agenda item 12, 47 Charlotte Street. Frankie, if you give us an introduction and overview of the project, please.
47 Charlotte Street is in the Garden District, Council District 4. It's not surveyed circa 1841 in the old historic district. They're requesting conceptual approval for fenestration change. The property's location on Charlotte Street, and I will turn it over to the applicant.
How well, y'all? You let your kids and Henry was gonna do this, but since it's my house, I'll. So we own this property with Jess and Alice Way. This this could be a little bit arduous with me doing this. Is this what moves it? Yeah. The elevation is what it looks like. There. So this is the house on the corner of Elizabeth in Charlotte. It's an old grocery store, 1840. Brick. It's really a good building. It's a good house. We started doing mason repairs on the inside. It was so long and took so much time and money that we hadn't done the outside yet. So we've gone all the way back, proper pulled all the cement mortar out. And she's strong now. So what we're asking to do, we met with Frankie and told her what was going on and asked her what she thought. And two things she wanted us to review with y'all were this door here. It's a really interesting kind of door. That was the store door. At some point, and I think it was during the 70s, if I look at the material and I look at the lumber that was used, something happened on this corner, I'm not sure, and the sidewalks were raised. So this door was backed off. And so there's just a wee opening here now. The door is so beautiful. Can you go to the door schedule? I think it's 30. Here, yeah. So, sorry. This is the door. So they cut it off like right here, and they cut it off and just jammed it in there. So it's like 6'2". So what we want to do is to take the existing transom out, which we had to think long and hard about it because it's kind of cool with the transom, and they put this bent metal right here, but it's 18 inches deep. And so if you look, you can see where this thing was cut off. So what we're proposing to do is to bring the door all the way up through that. And I don't know what that transom was mally hacked at best, but it's still kind of cool. But we want to put the door in full size there. Like that. Repair the existing door. Reuse all the historic material out of it. And that was one of the things Frankie said, I don't think we can put that without asking y'all, which I understood. So that's one thing. The other thing is, as you come around the side of the building, this side. So this is the original building. This is where the piazza would have come all the way down, and the porch came all the way through. And again, judging by the dimensional lumber, I'm thinking that it happened somewhere between the mid-60s and through the 80s possibly. And this was infilled, concrete block, 1.5 studs. And they wanted to link this upper area. They enclosed the plan. They enclosed the porches on both floors. So they enclosed the porches from here back. So you can see the open piazzas. And they did it on both floors. And so upstairs, all the French doors still exist to go out to these funny little rooms. But this is where it was enclosed here. So in manipulating their plan, we really didn't want a door in the bathroom of this 1970s addition. So we said, what could we do to get some light in the bathroom? And he said, well, there's a gate here on the adjoining property. And this is about 28, 29 feet back from the gate. I should have got a photograph of this, but there's a big jasmine. We have one. So you can show them what that looks like. So what we just thought would be nice was to add glass brick into that opening.
Yeah.
So here's the gate, here's this door, which again was sort of the 1970s, 80s door. We wanted to just infill that with stucco and add glass brick in a random pattern that is pleasing to the eye. I don't have any classical proportions for glass brick. I'm really, I think on the 70s infill and stuff. I think it looks pretty nice the way we've drawn it. And as far as I know, that's what we're asking for. Am I good to go with that assumption, right? All right. So,
What about the door on the east elevation that's changing a transom on the short end?
this,
Similar to that, it looks like it's similar to that one, so maybe it's the same kind of concept.
this is what we're doing on this door, just so you know, is we're taking keeping these original shutter doors. And I'm really not sure when this was done. You know, I think it was done after the store stopped being used as a store and became an apartment. And it's just a solid wall now. So we're going to keep those. We're going to take those, move them to here, keep this, and have those doors open. And there'll be a glass door behind that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you. Do we have anyone speaking? Okay, Frank, can you give us two staff comments and recommendations, please?
So, yeah, the transom window, we didn't feel like we could approve it staff. We'd love it to remain, but I understand what he's talking about. And we are not opposed to the removal of the door on the west elevation or the addition of the glass block to the infilled area. We just didn't feel it could be approved at staff. Like I said, we'd love to keep it transfer somehow, but staff recommendation is a final approval.
Thank you. Mr. Gibson, did you want to respond to or clarify anything raised in staff comment? All right.
It's pretty good.
We'll move into board discussion and a vote. Really glad you explained this door. I parked by this building to early vote a few years ago. I remember looking at it and thinking, short door.
I don't know when the sidewalks were raised and it really caused a lot of problems on the interior.
It looks weird standing in front of it. Anyways, what do you all think? I think both of them are.
I think Reggie's explanation why he wants to eliminate transom is solid. It's a solid reasoning.
I agree. Bill, did you want to make a motion?
I will make a motion for, is this consensual or?
Final.
Final.
We acknowledge
Listed
staff
as
condition.
conceptual, but we listed it with as our recommendation was final.
If you're okay with final.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
But not with the staff conditions.
No.
Right.
Okay.
I couldn't remember.
We have a motion on the floor for final approval. Do I have a second to Bill's motion?
Oh.
Thank you, Laura. Put the motion to a vote. Becky,
Yeah, in favor.
Daryl,
Yeah, in favor.
Bill,
Yeah, in favor.
Laura.
Yeah, in favor.
Chair votes to the majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Agenda item 13, 177 King Street has been withdrawn by the applicant. We are on agenda item 14, 33 Nassau Street. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction to the project, please.
33 Nassau Street is an east side, District 4. It is a category 4, circa 1890 in the Old City District, requesting after the fact approval for a front door awning. This is property location on Nassau. And I will turn it over to the applicant.
Good evening. My name is Arthur Maybank. I'm with the A Design Build LLC. This after the fact approval, I guess, starts like all the others with good intentions, okay? But it's actually turned to a request to replace the aluminum awning that were documented to be on the building in 1985. And then as a resident of that neighborhood, I can clearly remember going to the Ebenezer Church right up the street, and this particular building had the metal awning. So the request now is to replace the 48-inch by 88-inch aluminum awning. Back to where it used to be instead of the attempt to recreate an awning in wood that looks, undesirable. And we would like to remove that. We have family photos that document the awning over the door on the front as well. And it also went around and wrapped around into the yard also. It would be installed by ABC Awning, and the color would be the gray to match the building with the burgundy stripe. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
So, I mean, this is after the fact, so is the awning there
So,
now or not?
No,
there?
okay, so, they had a contractor at one point who started building a door hood. That was after the fact.
Okay.
And as they submitted more information, they would like to change that to this proposed awning.
No.
After the research.
So I guess it's not really after the fact. We're just approving, we're just looking at the awning. 'Cause
Yeah.
if we were after the fact, we'd be looking at the wood. but we're
Right,
not
they're
looking at
gonna
the wood.
remove the wood and do the
Okay.
awning.
So we're really just looking at the awning. Okay. Any other questions for the applicant?
Thank you.
Do we have anyone speaking? What? Frankie?
This, we just said that the proposal couldn't be approved by staff. Staff generally approves the removal of these, not the addition of them.
Okay, thank you.
It did have that awning and it's documented
Oh,
in the 84 inventory card.
Yeah, that's what I was looking like. Okay. Did you want to respond to or clarify anything that Frankie just said?
Oh,
You don't have to.
I don't know. I would like to keep it like it is.
All right, public comment and the applicant presentation is now closed. We will take discussion and a vote. I think we had one of these recently with like vinyl siding that it was, do you remember this? And it was the only time we've ever approved vinyl siding because
Yes.
this was what was existing. And so it was really a replacing kind. And so I'm kind of thinking this might be in the same vein that we normally approve removal of these, but if they're just putting back something that was historically there.
Well, it wasn't historically there because of the age of the building would have not had this type of.
That was the vinyl siding. We don't.
See, I don't remember. I must not have been in that meeting.
You were.
I was.
We really, you put it on here, we really struggled with it.
I remember it.
And we've said many times we would never approve this, but it was existing. Yeah.
I mean, it does, historically, it does speak to an era of this building.
Yeah.
And of, changes that were made to a lot of homes in that age. And so in some ways, historically, it speaks to the architectural history and evolution. It was there in the old photographs.
And I feel better about this than the vinyl siding.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
This is removable, it's reversible.
Yeah.
So.
Because we approve removal of these all the time, so.
Yeah, nobody's ever asked for one of these back up.
Becky, what do you think?
No, I'm in agreement.
Okay.
Make a motion for approval.
Is this a just,
or wait a minute, what
are we, so we're not approving the after the fact, are we just, is this a conceptual?
So it would be conceptual and then staff could sign off on it within a permit.
Okay, so Laura, was that your motion, conceptual approval?
Move for conceptual approval of the metal awning as submitted with final review and permitting. Final review by staff and permitting.
So does it need a preliminary and final
Just
by
say
staff?
preliminary final. That way we can cover any other
Okay.
review is done by staff within the permit.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for conceptual approval of the metal awning as submitted with preliminary and final review by staff. Do I have a second?
Second.
Vote, Bill,
Yeah, in favor.
Becky,
Yeah, in favor.
Laura,
Yay in favor.
Daryl.
Yay in favor.
Chair votes the majority and the motion passes unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Agenda item 15 is 658 King Street. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction overview of the project, please.
Okay, 658 King Street is memory. Central Council District 4, it is not surveyed. Circa 1945 in the old historic district, they're requesting final approval for hand-painted signage. This is the building's location on King Street. I'll turn it over to the applicant.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So hopefully this one will be just as easy. So we are proposing to install, or not install, but actually hand paint some signage that fits within all of the guidelines of what would be approved if it was traditional sign. The only difference being that it's hand painted, and after the changes, anything hand painted has to come here as opposed to being approved by staff. Frankie, I believe you worked with Lindsay a little bit on this as far as, did you work with Lindsay on this one or not?
I think so.
No, I'm sorry,
Oh.
you, Lindsay. No, my partner usually handles most of the permitting and stuff.
Yeah, I believe we talked about
Yeah, the building is actually, or their space is actually quite large and extends down into the mural area. Let's see here, the total side dimensions are 2,325 square feet, of which we're only trying to use a small portion of that. So as I say, we should be well within all the guidelines. It's just the fact that it's actually painted on the building as opposed to having a fabricated metal letter or plastic letter stuck on the side, which we really did feel like fit within the architecture of the area.
Why is that? Is it like qualified as a mural? Oh, interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's actually in the,
I actually did know that up.
it's, I think it's in the science policy,
It is.
but it's in the staff review policy.
And
That
the science policy.
hand painted signage and murals have to be approved by the board.
I encourage you might not to do that. But this, anyways, any questions? There's no one speaking.
I have a question. Oh, Frankie, like just that it looks to me like it meets the 10% requirement, no more than 10% requirement.
It does.
It
And it
does.
meets all the other stuff, right? So
Yes. And actually, we, okay, so I'll jump to my observation. It just requires board approval because it's hand painted. And we think it's an appropriate location. That little complex actually has a lot crazier hand painted murals. So we feel it's very appropriate for the location. We're recommending final approval.
This is pretty sedate compared to the rest.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now we are in board discussion. Oh, did you want to respond to or
No,
clarify?
that's okay. As I say, it seemed like a bit of a parliamentary approval here, so, yeah, whatever we need to answer.
Board discussion. Yes, we have a motion on the floor for final approval. We're good. Do you need, is this like like they need conceptual, preliminary and final?
We just like it's because they would normally just get a signed permit.
fine.
They can do final.
So final approval, we have a motion on the floor for final approval. Do I have a second? With the motion to vote, Daryl,
Yay in favor.
Becky,
Yeah, in favor.
Laura.
Yay in favor.
Yay in favor.
Chair votes for the majority and the motion passes unanimous. Then motion to adjourn, a second,
Second,
all in favor?
yay.
None opposed, the motion passes.